Cinema Classics is brought to you by the Gateway Film Center, 1550 North High Street, Columbus, Ohio. Further details and showtimes online at gatewayfilmcenter.com.
The award-winning Cinema Classics is produced by John DeSando and Johnny DiLoretto. Listen to the shows online at wcbe.org. I'm John DeSando.
And I'm Johnny DiLoretto. And this is Cinema Classics.
That's it.
And we are at the Gateway Film Center.
And we are in summer.
It's summertime.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And,
I love it.
you know, magazines like Entertainment Weekly are looking at blockbusters.
Right, big block.
Big
well,
summer blockbusters.
Summer movies.
Yeah.
Do you get excited for summer movies? Or
No, I don't.
You don't?
I'm absolutely bored to death. Spider-Man just didn't do it for me.
All right, but you don't get excited about these big movies like Godzilla?
Well, I'm going tonight to see it.
Okay.
I'm willing to try it. But in the end, no, I'm not. But there are a couple. I think you suggested that we look at only two. The two top blockbusters of all time. And the
Summer
first
blockbusters.
Summer blockbusters. And the first
let's preface it by saying the two films that are responsible for summer blockbusters.
Okay.
Because I think without these two films, and it's no mystery what they are, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Okay.
The word summer blockbuster or the term summer blockbuster would have never entered into the parlance without
Jaws.
Jaws. Yeah.
And I'm trying to wonder why. It's an animatronic shark
Mm-hmm.
that you don't see for 82 minutes. So what is it about this?
You see a little bit.
Right, yeah.
What is it about Jaws?
Yeah.
One, it's the colors.
Huh?
The colors of Jaws
That's great. I never thought of that.
make me want to return to that movie again and again.
The
and
blues?
Again. The blues, the reds,
Okay.
the white. The whites, the blues, the red. It's kind of American, obviously, when you think about it, but it's
That's
just
great.
screams summer in its palette. The other thing that makes me return to that movie is its suspense. Arguably, has never been handled quite as deftly as it is in Jaws.
Well, this is Steven Spielberg's second
Steven
film,
Spielberg, right?
and it's really going to establish him.
He
as
did
a
not.
titan.
Right. He did not want to do this movie.
Oh.
He wanted to make art. And they said, listen, get this movie right, you can make all the art you ever want. Turns out that in his pursuit of a commercially successful film, he made what is arguably, I'm sorry I keep using that phrase, he made this movie that is the perfect balance between art and commerce.
Yeah. And
With so few summer blockbuster movies, they can no longer strike that balance.
so by art, do you mean the slow evolution of the story?
I mean, it's about character.
Okay.
You know, it's not about a shark at all. It's about this man, Brody, and his
Roy Scheider?
family, Roy Scheider,
Okay.
and his interaction. And he's in this new town. This is, you know, I would like to talk about maybe on a different show how much better the film is than the book. The changes that were made that I think really kind of just put this movie over the top.
Benchley, is it?
Peter Benchley
Yeah.
book, yeah.
Yeah. And Robert Shaw. Let's say that we've had some fine actors here. Robert Shaw,
yeah.
Richard Dreyfuss. I mean,
Robert Shaw is such a powerful presence.
He's
on
the
that
captain.
screen. He is as powerful a presence as the shark
Wonderful. Yes.
in that movie.
Yes, yes.
You know, and that's why it's so. You know, we showed that movie here last year, and I brought Vincent and a friend of his to see it. And a lot of parents scoff at showing Jaws, which they don't see as an inappropriate film, to younger kids. But I feel like when you can really scare a kid in a healthy way, it's great.
Yes.
And when Robert Shaw got eaten by the shark, he comes up on the boat, he slides down into the maw, and there's just blood and screaming. These kids, John, they were out of their seats. They were out of this. They were like, the faces of them was so great. It was.
And we, of course, as English majors, had already enjoyed this in the sense with Herman Melville.
Yeah, right.
And in a higher brow way, we were very, very much interested in the whale and the pursuit and the metaphoric properties.
Listen, if you took Moby Dick and you stripped it of all of the whale insider whaling business, There'd be a short story.
I know that.
It's mostly, yeah, there's,
Do you think I passed over those
Yeah.
chapters? I did.
well, I don't know how you found the other stuff. You'd have to, it's rough going. The other movie, obviously, is Star Wars.
Yes. Now, for A New Hope,
Mm-hmm.
but that's really the
Back
original.
then we just called it Star Wars.
Right, okay.
Right.
But they renamed it because of the
Oh,
prequels.
it's just, yeah, it's the subtitle now.
So we're talking the original Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I've mentioned more than once that serendipitously, taking my kids in Boston, let's do something. Hey,
Mhm.
there's this movie going to show. I just saw an ad for it. Star Wars.
That's funny. I have a very similar experience. I remember I had a sleepover with a cousin of mine, and my dad the next morning said, "Hey, you want to go see a movie?" And he tossed me the newspaper, and I opened it up to this ad, and there was this. Now when I think back on it, it was an image of the stormtrooper helmet,
Yes.
but I had no reference point for it. I can remember seeing that thing for the first time and just being like, I want to see that. Not knowing what it was.
Yes.
That image of that face, it looked like kind of like a white space gorilla to me.
Right.
And
I remember an image of Mark Hamill as well. They had a few ads,
Mhm.
but no hype before it.
yeah, so
This
you
is
were
what
in
was so-
Boston, right?
Correct.
Yeah, so probably big. I was in Steubenville. There was an ad like this.
But what is amazing is now, with how much hype goes on a year before the movie's out, then it was just like that movie.
Yeah.
But it changed everything.
Right. That was also great, wasn't it? Those times, like movies didn't come with all this built-in
Exactly, yeah.
expectation and these huge year-long marketing campaigns.
And
so silly.
Lucas brilliantly, wove in all of our myths into that. I don't know how he packed it all into there, as well as giving us something brand new.
I can remember coming home from seeing Star Wars that day, and my mom asking, "How did you guys like the movie?" And my dad said, "Hey, it was pretty good. It was like a western in space."
Good for him.
Yeah.
So, but what makes it a blockbuster, do you think?
What makes it
or
a
the original
blockbuster?
blockbuster, one of the original two.
I just think that we were at a time in the 70s where American film was at its apex.
Boy, yeah.
There were some of the greatest films being made. There was great art, and there was great art and there was great entertainment, but there was more art than entertainment. And I think that by 1975, you'd had both Godfathers. You'd had Taxi Driver, Mean Streets, The Conversation, Dog Day Afternoon, Dirty Harry. You had some heavy-duty stuff.
Sure.
Network.
Yeah.
Actually, didn't have Network yet, but you had a lot of heavy Bonnie and Clyde,
Yeah.
The Graduate.
Yeah.
You had all this heavy, commercially successful art.
Yeah.
And I think there was this younger portion of the audience coming up, and there's perfect confluence of, artistry. Spielberg, you had guys like Spielberg and De Palma and Coppola making films, and George Lucas. You had a younger audience coming up, eager for the product of their own, and you had these, titans
Well,
in their youth.
And think about it. You had no home theater.
Mm-hmm.
You had no video reproduction.
No, that was it. It was a one-shot
Right, so
deal.
there were really a very good circumstance for creative young directors to present films that were exciting. And because there wasn't such a push to make millions and billions,
Mm-hmm.
if you just made a few million, you were in good shape. So there was no fear, even from the studios.
Because here you have this movie that was Kubrick's film, 2001,
Right.
really invested in its special effects. Now, all in the service of a grand story and big ideas.
That's right.
It wasn't about selling special effects. It was about selling these ideas.
Yes.
And so Kubrick went to great lengths to surround these ideas with this technologically marvelous spectacle.
Which wasn't necessarily appreciated by the entire populace. And so
No.
George Lucas
But
can
just
come along.
just the right people.
Yes,
were
yeah.
impressed
But
by it.
Lucas can come along and take some great concepts along with some very playful Western-like
Right.
stuff and bring it to everybody.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're right.
And so that's
a precursor of this.
The effects are great in 2001, and so they bleed into that era. Now, you know, the funny thing about Jaws, as you were saying, is technologically it's not a marvel. Technologically,
Yeah.
that animatronic shark failed Spielberg
It
to the point where he was like developing an ulcer, and you know he was shooting around it. Now that's the beauty of a resourceful filmmaker,
Yeah.
is that he crafts all these amazing moments out of thin air, and gives you. The other thing is not just suspense. He gives you, without the shark, he gives you a sense of its physical proportions and its power.
Yeah.
By not showing it to you. When he pulls the dock.
Oh,
into
right,
the
yeah,
water,
yeah.
Just the rush of water, like the
Yeah,
body
yeah.
cutting through.
And the music, as I remember, is
Mhm.
very ominous.
Yeah. Now, so what happens after that is then you have the awareness from Hollywood that there's this commercial potential,
Right.
and they hang this hook on the fact that it's summertime, school's out, right? And people want to have fun. There's this air of fun, this idea of fun, and that permeates everything. And still to this day, when the summer movie season approaches, I still get excited. Like, what's
Right.
coming? You know?
Well, look at the children of these two movies. Jurassic Park, The Dark Knight, Raiders, E.T., Ghostbusters, Top Gun's Superman,
Mhm.
one of your favorites,
Mhm.
and the Harry Potter, good Lord,
Yeah.
and even Pirates and Toy Story.
We see the best of those. The best of them. I'm kicking Pirates out of that list.
Yes, I know.
The best of those do that. They do balance that, the depth with the frivolity.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
there has to be a balance